This is Book Talk with Corbin, and I am your host. Today, I'm going to start off by reading something to you. I'm just going to read it to you. This is a post that a parent here in Louisville, Kentucky, put on my Facebook page. Actually, it's put on one Facebook page, and then someone from that Facebook page transferred it over to me. And I copied it word for word. And I'm going to read it to you word for word. And that's all I'm going to say for right now. I'm going to read it to you word for word. I want you to reach your own conclusion. Quote, "My daughter has had two different teachers make the kids announce their names and pronouns even when they did not want to. She made them and wouldn't move on and kept badgering them for an answer in front of the whole class. One of which is a them, they, and doesn't go by Ms. or Miss or Mrs. She must be called Teacher Kinder, Kinder. My daughter accidentally called her Ms. because she has been told her whole life that calling a teacher was rude, that they have a name. She was red-faced yelling at her and told her to look at the flag. Her room is covered in LGBTQ plus flags, and said, 'You will not disrespect that flag here. You will not call me that again, or you will be sent to the principal for a hate crime.' I was flabbergasted. The other teacher insists that they put their proper pronouns on all emails, and she is teaching them freaking email etiquette? ! Based on what I read, this is just my opinion, and I want your opinion. I want your feedback. I want your comments. I flat out believe that was abuse. She verbally abused that child. She was extremely unprofessional to that child. And this whole stuff about making the kids announce their names and pronouns was just ridiculous. This wasn't English class. It was just ridiculous. If it was English class, they all would have failed it. We all know what a pronoun is. And so that's my take on it. I wish somebody would take this podcast, share it with a state representative, Democrat and or Republican. I wish somebody would take this podcast, share it with a Board of Education member, preferably all of them. I wish somebody would take this podcast and give it to every single member of the Louisville Metro City Council, including the president, David James. And I wish somebody would take this to the Teachers Union, the American Family Association, and No Left Turn in Education. I am calling for a full investigation into the situation. I think we have here a teacher who verbally abused that child. I think we have a teacher here who inappropriately yelled at a child and threatened them with a quote-unquote hate crime. Now, I'm going to take this a little step further. I know a little something about this child and their parents and their family. And I believe this was blatant racism. Because I know something about the principal of that school and the vice principal at that school. And let me tell you something. Let me make this real clear to you. It was blatant racism. It's because of that child's race. It is because of that child's parents and their race. This whole abusive thing was just swept under the rug. But don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to demand an investigation into this situation. full investigation into the situation, an investigation that includes the principal and vice principal of that school and the teacher. Let me read this to you one more time. My daughter has had 2 different teachers make the kids announce their names and pronouns, even when they didn't want to. She made them and wouldn't move on and kept badgering them for an answer in front of the whole class. One of which is a them/they, and doesn't go by Ms. or Miss or Mrs. She must be called Teacher Kinder, Kinder. My daughter accidentally called her Ms. because she has been told her whole life that calling a teacher was rude, that they have a name. She was red-faced yelling at her. Now, I'm going to stop here. When she said she was red-faced yelling at her, we're talking about the teacher was red-faced yelling at this child. Let me continue with the quote. Told her to look at that flag. Her room is covered in LGBTQ plus flags and said, "You will not disrespect that flag here. You will not call me that again, or you will be sent to the principal for a hate crime." I was flabbergasted. The other teacher insists that they put their proper pronouns on all emails, and she is teaching them freaking email etiquette? ! Folks, that parent's a good one, because I would have called Child Protective Services. I would have called the teachers union. I would have told the vice principal and principal, I'm suing them. Their response was brazenly racist. They completely swept us under the rug, disregarded this, poo-pooed this because of that child's race and the race of her family. That's my position. But I'm asking for people to do their due diligence. I'm saying let's take this before a state rep and demand that they investigate this. Let's take this to the teachers union, Metro Council, Board of Education, American Family Association, No Left Turn in Education. We need a full and immediate investigation to this situation. This kind of racist attack against children in the public school system is completely and totally unacceptable. Now, that's my position. My position, it was racist. After the investigation, I may be shown to be wrong. I hope I am shown to be wrong. But until then, until an investigation is done and some people in positions of authority say, hey, you're wrong. We've investigated this. We've thoroughly investigated this. We've looked into it. Here's our written conclusion. We don't see any racism here. I hope that's what they do say. I hope I'm dead wrong. I don't think so, but I hope I'm dead wrong. So I don't want to see our children exposed. Well, you can't stop stupid. They're going to be exposed to verbal abuse like this. But I don't want a situation where once someone verbally abuses a child, like this teacher did to that young child, they have to be held accountable for it. Publicly held to account. And that principal and vice president, principal, if they were wrong, they need to be held account, publicly held to account. They need to understand we're not going to engage in verbal abuse against a child because of their race, and we're not going to hide and sweep under the rug obvious verbal abuse against a child because of their race. This is really a race issue. Once you look into it, as I did, and you start seeing the evidence, I think some of you are going to reach the same conclusion. Yeah, this was racist. This is blatantly racist. But again, But again, let's be real clear. We got to look into this. So somebody send this podcast to a state rep, someone in the Kentucky legislature, Kentucky, a state senator, a rep, Metro Council, American Family Association, No Left Turn in Education, Teachers Union, NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and any other so-called civil rights group in this city. Let's do a full investigation in this. Okay? This is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host.